You are listening to episode 4 on Think Tenacity podcast show. I'm your host, Bella Rarewell, mental health speaker and podcaster. Our podcast expert guest on the topic of exercise is a former athlete, once ranked top 50, who was a semi-finalist World Indoor Championship. So welcome to the show, Mohammed Sillah-Freckleton, also known as Mo. So without further ado, Mo, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, pleasure to be here. My name is Mohammed Sillah-Freckleton. I was a Great Britain hurdler, going back. I went to the World Indoors in 2004 in the European Cup. Made the semi-finals. At one point I was ranked top 50 in the world. But yeah, that was a while ago now. But since retiring, I applied my trade into personal training, massage, physiotherapy and acupuncture. So all things to kind of help someone improve their strength, their mobility, and manage independently at home.
Fantastic. And I know you have a website for your business.
It's the website is msfphysiotherapy.com. And the MSF stands for Mobility, Strength and Function.
How long have you been running that business for?
I've been running the business in the background. It's been going for, I'd say, about maybe up to 8 years. It's been going in the background, but the last 2 years it's been just mobility, strength and function. So I've been working in the community, going to people's homes and helping them manage at home. And it's only the pandemic that's made it a little more difficult. But we're still running and we're still out.
Yes,
making a difference.
Absolutely, because even right now today, mobility, exercise is a great need during this pandemic.
It's a big need. It's an underutilized medication. Exercise should be prescribed.
And I think also with the life of COVID we've had, a lot of us are in the same boat where we've piled on a bit of COVID weight with lockdown, sitting at home snacking, right? That a little bit of exercise, even if it's 15 minutes a day, is going to help that COVID weight as well.
Massively. And you'll feel better because you're exercising. You're going to take your mind off of it.
Yeah.
Because when you're upset about something, we tend to perseverate. So you think about it, about it.
And that makes you more stressed.
That doesn't help you get over it.
No, it makes you more stressed,
Exactly.
You're procrastinating about the problem. Excellent.
Keep listening for the best advice, inspiration and call to action to get you on the road to where you want to be.
Is it a myth or a fact that exercise can boost or have a positive effect on mental health?
No, it's a fact. That's a fact.
Right.
So when you exercise, basically when you exercise, your body responds to exercise the same way it responds to stress or cortisol, in which like certain hormones are released, good hormones and bad hormones. Your heart rate goes up, you're breathing heavier, everything associated with exercise. The same thing happens with stress, but without the negative feeling. So you can exercise, expose your body to stress-like hormones. Your body then deals with those stress-like hormones in a healthy way, because this time you're not stressed because of an emotion, you're not stressed because of a situation. It's just physical exercise. And so when your body becomes accustomed to dealing with the physical exercise, the stress response to it, your body's then more able to deal with when you're stressed or anxious, because you've been exercising and your body remembers how to deal with it. Do you catch my drift?
Mo, you have explained it like if I was in nursery. Now I understand it.
The body can't distinguish between your mental stress and physical stress.
Yes, we can't. The body and mind can't distinguish.
You're stimulating it in a healthy way, and the more your body gets used to managing that stress from exercise, the better it's able to manage the stress from anxiety or for any other reason, because it's been practicing it. And this is where your intensity comes in. So you need to exercise to your individual intensity so that you're getting the right stimulation, and that's where it's different for everyone.
Absolutely, because I'm very much about turning a habit into discipline, but you have to practice. So you've made perfect sense. If we practice more exercise when we're in stressful situations, or we are
anytime. You don't have to exercise just when you're stressed. You can exercise anytime, but I suppose what maybe the nugget to take is that if you don't mind doing let's say slightly more intense exercise, then between 10 and 15 minutes of more vigorous exercise will give you those benefits of managing stress. Or if you don't like higher intensity exercises, you could go for maybe 20 to 30 minutes of lower intensity exercise that still stresses the body, that will still give you the benefits of managing any stress hormones.
I understand. And that's why they do say, and again, you never know, is this a myth or fact? Just going for a walk 15 minutes, as you say, is giving that intensity and elevating the heartbeat and all the muscles, which is great for mental health. Let's just understand a bit about stress. We all go through stress, whether you have a mental illness or not. Mental health is like physical health. So when we go through stress, what does that do to our body, and why do we feel so anxious?
Well, we could all be stressed for like a number of reasons.
Yeah, you're damn right.
It could be work, it could be, it could be relationship. It's it's an emotional, it's a physical, it's a psychological thing. It's not just one thing. And if something is affecting you in one domain, be it emotional, psychological, or physiologically, then it's going to have an impact on the other things. Yes. And so with stress, what happens is when you're feeling stressed, or you're on a bit of an emotional roller coaster, you can release hormones within the body which kind of make certain things happen. So your body releases an enzyme called cortisol.
Right. So it is really a scientific term. When we get anxious, what is it called?
Cortisol.
Right.
The hormone that's released from the body, but it's a stimulator. It increases your heart rate, it increases your respiratory rate, so you're breathing harder. It's almost like the body getting into the fight or fright response. So your body's getting ready for evasive action.
Right.
Life-threatening situations.
I get you. I think this is at the point when I rush to my newsagents and I buy my sweets and my chocolates.
Yeah, you just get into that point where you're on edge, and things are racing a little bit, and that's your sympathetic system. That's your hormones racing to increase your heart rate, so you're ready to run, increasing your breathing rate, so you got enough oxygen. But over a long period of time, what that does is that fatigues you.
Absolutely.
And so then you start to become tired on top of it. And so, now you're physically tired, you might be psychologically stressed, and, it can become a vicious cycle.
And I think at this point as well, we then choose to act on it or do a distraction. Hence, somebody might go down to the pub or reach for that glass of wine, or and sometimes the distractions or what we choose to solve the problem, it's almost sometimes a short-term distraction for solving the long-term problem, but it feels good at the time.
And you're also taking your mind off of the stressor. If going to the shop or doing something that's different takes your mind off of the problem, then you'll probably find that you're going to reduce your respiratory rate. Your heart rate's going to come down. You're not going to feel so stressed. But exercise is a great way in also training the body to deal with anxiety and stress.
I understand. So let's break down exactly what is exercise. Because you're the master at this. You're the former athlete here.
So I would say now exercise is dependent upon everyone's kind of baseline level. Like someone's really, really unfit, their version of exercise is going to be at a lower level to someone that's exercised every day for, the last 10 years. So it is subjective.
Yes.
And it's also objective. But generally, exercise is anything that's going to get the body working. So it's a body activity which increases and maintains physical fitness or overall health and wellness.
What tips or advice would you give to somebody knowing that, they're behind that Zoom all day, to motivate them to just come away from the computer for a bit of a break and stretch? What would you suggest?
I would say if they're getting pain, then that's already like a bit of a warning shot that, they might need to look at their ergonomic setup. So looking at the position of their monitor, the position of their keyboard, their sitting position. When they're in that sitting position that is more comfortable for them, they should be able to maintain it for longer. But then also to give themselves a break. So, be it every 45 minutes, every hour, or every 2 hours, to get up, change position, stretch. Once you get into your work mode, sometimes you get into your work mode and that's it. You're productive, but you start to forget about your posture until you've knocked about 3, 4, 5 hours off, and then you attempt to move, and that's when your body then gives you a bit of a warning shot of my back's sore, my shoulder's sore. Staying home, COVID, it makes you it makes your body adopt the positions that you're in the most. So if you're sitting the most, then those will be the positions that your body helps you to try and maintain easier because it thinks that that's the position that you want to be in.
Did you know Think Tenacity podcast is proudly sponsored by rareworldremovals.co.uk for all your home and office removal needs. Whether you're moving a single item, moving home or moving office location, our professional drivers with over 13 years experience will be able to help you with any of your removal needs with an outstanding low-cost hour rate. Receive a quote today. Visit rareworldremovals.co.uk.
Like, how long or how short should exercise be?
Now, there's no, as I said, everyone's starting point is going to be slightly different. And so because everyone's starting point is slightly different, everyone should be doing might be slightly different.
Exactly.
Slightly different intensities or slightly different durations. But you can work out for anything from 10 minutes if it's a slightly higher intensity, up to 20 to 30 minutes. Obviously not as high in intensity, but you should be, slightly breathless. Your heart rate should be high. You should be sweaty. But if you're down in the 10 to 20 minute area, then it just might need to be a little more active. But you can do shorter periods. Sure.
Because one thing I've always done, I'm not a big gym goer like I used to, but a while back when I was going to the gym, I'd see all these people pumping out. Sometimes I used to think they were showing off, to be honest. And I just used to think to myself, well, sod yous lot, I'll just do my own thing, because I just thought the way everybody exercises in the gym is different, or what they want to work on is different. So I think you have to be a little bit confident not to compare to other people.
Very true. Very true. Everyone's got everyone's got their own starting point. So it might be for someone that's not a regular gym goer or an exercise. It might be that you go for a brisk walk, or it might be that instead of going for a brisk walk, for example, you could break it down and say, look, I'm going to go up and down the stairs 5 times in a row.
So that's a great way to start if somebody's not used to exercising or no motivation, especially in the world of COVID. What else would you suggest if somebody's not used to exercising?
There are I'm developing some programs where you can exercise in a chair, or you exercise in standing next to a chair.
Yes.
And all in preparation for being able to make mobility easier within the house, and or without, going out, getting that independence back. But, if you haven't been standing, or you're finding it difficult to get out of a chair, or you're finding it difficult to get out of a bed, then the exercises that you might do are going to be different to someone that goes jogging every week.
Yes.
So there's a difference. So, it could be that you stand up and sit down from a chair. And there are some good studies that show that depending on the number of times you can get out of a chair within 30 seconds, a prediction for, if they're becoming frail. Now, for older people over 65, frail is a big term in where, you lose muscle mass, you lose, you're already becoming a little osteoporotic because you lose bone density steadily after a certain age if you're not actively trying to maintain your strength and muscle mass.
Understood.
With sarcopenia, then it's and the kind of things that can affect people over the age of 65, that then increases any negative effects of not exercising, and it makes it harder to make those fitness goals, achievable.
Yeah, definitely. I applaud you for being flexible with the times we're living in COVID and, putting together these programs at home.
Something wonderful for your ears and your mind. Mixing business with pleasure.
So one of the questions as well, here's another myth or fact. Is it better run on the treadmill in the gym or run or walk outside? Which is better?
Now, I would say it depends on individual preference.
Right.
For some people that like the gym, then find the gym. For those people that like outside and fresh air, then outside and fresh air. But there are some benefits to being outside that you won't get inside. Now, the benefits of being outside is that, one, you're out in nature and you're touching the ground. Yeah. Now, bear in mind you are wearing trainers, but when you actually sit down and put your hands on the ground or on a tree, now I'm going to get really sciencey here on you.
Yes, we need some of the science. We do, though.
It's called grounding or earthing. So when you touch the ground, not concrete on the ground, but actual soil, the planet grounds you. What grounding does, it helps to regulate your own body's internal electrical workings. Yeah. So we run on low level electric current. If you touch the planet, ground yourself, that it helps to rewire or calm down the body's electrical workings.
Absolutely. I applaud you for bringing the scientific fact, because I'm very much aware of grounding. I've used it in my therapy, which also helps with trauma survivors, which I am, and they talk about grounding immensely.
It's a good tool, but when you talk about it, some people look at you like, what?
Yeah,
really?
You have to.
But no, it's been shown that if you ground, it reduces your heart rate variability, so your heart rate settles down.
Yes.
Your breathing rate settles down.
Yes.
If you have a clotting disorder, that your red blood cells don't clot together so much.
Yes.
It's been shown to reduce inflammation. So these are the things that really your GP should be telling you. And we all know the benefit of sunshine and vitamin D. So, you're out there. Hopefully, in this country, you might be getting a bit more sun. But if you're out there, you're in the sun, you've done your 15-minute walk to the park. You could do your 10 minutes sit down and relax in the grass and then walk back.
Yeah, and let's just touch on that a little bit, because I must admit I was very naive to nature and, being outdoors. What is that element of that sunshine and being in nature that makes us feel better and makes us feel good?
I think it comes out, some people that say, when they go to the beach, they just feel so much better once their toes are in the sand or once the water washes over their feet. Yes. And I think it's very similar to that in that, they've actually grounded themselves and they're just not aware that they've grounded themselves. If with darker skin, the sun is going to radiate, it's going to warm you more than it warms someone of fairer skin. And so your feelings on what the sun does to you is going to be different
Right.
Yeah, but we all know that vitamin D is good in so many ways. Immune health.
Yes.
Vitamin D, in skin, and exercise. Going back to exercise, so if you want to exercise, it's good for your immune system, because if you think of your body as a bag of, think of us as a bag of water. And we all know what happens to a pool if you don't stir the water. What happens to the water? It becomes stagnant.
Right.
Yeah. If you leave the mass of water there without moving it at all, it becomes stagnant. And I think that's what happens with the body. So exercise helps to move the water around the body. And if the water moves around the body, so too does your immune cells. So too does oxygen. It helps to remove any waste products, and so you're just making sure that there's no stale bits within your body.
Yes, I understand. I mean, that makes perfect sense. What advice would you give to somebody who really does not like exercising at all?
I would say if they really don't like exercising, there must be there must be something that they do like doing, and I think that's where it would be to start, to find something you like doing. If it's like that you like going to the shops, then maybe walking to the local shops might be the thing to do.
Got you.
And you can, if you wanted to make walking to the shops harder, you could try and walk to the shops faster, or you could try and walk further to the shops by going on longer route. If they really don't like exercise, I suppose another way to try and improve health would be like, 1, trying some grounding. 2, looking at their diet, because you are what you eat. And so if you've got a better diet coming in, then and you're sitting out in the grass, at least if you're not exercising, but you're at least getting the benefits of grounding, then I think that's better than doing nothing.
I think that's right. And I'd also say to visit Mo's website.
It's the website is msfphysiotherapy.com. Some of the benefits for exercise, 1, it improves mental health. Do you know when you exercise, you get ×4 blood flow around the body, but you get ×2 blood flow to the brain.
Yes.
Yeah, you got 2 times blood flow to your brain. When you exercise, you've got a 20% reduction in mortality, and that's across the board. That's cancer, that's coronary heart disease, you name it. 20%.
And those are facts. Those are not myths when they say
these are facts. You've got a reduction in falls. Yeah, you've got reduction in peripheral vascular disease. That's where your hands start getting cold and you start to lose sensation. A reduction in hypertension. A reduction in obesity. Improve management of diabetes. Your blood sugar levels. In a way, even if you don't like exercise, I suppose you should look at it like the benefits of doing a hard 10, 15 minutes or a medium 20 to 30 minutes outweighs the risks of not doing anything. The body is very efficient at saving calories.
Understood. And
muscles burn calories.
Yes, that's a fact.
So your body will get rid of those calories really quickly, and then you would have lost some of that strength. And so if you lose strength, you also lose stability.
Right. And this is why they do say, which is a fact and not a myth, weight training is excellent as part of fitness and exercise because it builds muscle. Is that right? Which helps to burn calories.
It's great for that, and it's needed right through life.
Good.
Over 65s especially. You should weight bear, especially women, because you have estrogen, and so the menopause or the reduction in bone density affects women more than men. So weight bearing helps to reduce the loss of bone mineral loss, but helps to reduce bone density loss.
I'm glad we've cleared that up, because there's so many myths and facts with regards to fitness and exercise. Because I think exercise has got that pressure.
Yeah, it brings up hard work.
Yeah,
in the
it does,
gym.
doesn't it? They need to have called it something fun. Because
it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, if you say if exercise was called salsa dancing, it feels fun. They need to change the word with something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Everyone will be doing it.
Exactly, but it just sounds hard. Like, oh my, and they think running, weight, you know. But I think if
Yeah.
you replace exercise with anything of movement that you're going to find fun, like me going out on my scooter or something like that, or as you said, walking to, I think we need to understand exercise is moving your body. Literally cleaning the house, you know, burns calories as well. That's movement, you know.
Exactly. That's exercise.
That's exercise.
If you actually think about it, that is exercise.
Yeah.
But when you're doing it, your heart rate is up.
Exactly.
You're a little bit breathless. You're a little bit sweaty.
Yes.
Stay connected.
So Mo, before we end the show, I want to talk a bit more about Mo the athlete. And what was life for you in terms of exercising for profession? Because my hat goes off to all athletes, because you guys are so motivated when it comes to your diet, when it comes to exercising. So as an athlete, tell me about that motivation to keeping in fit and keeping on board.
You know, when I first started, it was almost straight out of secondary school, where
wow.
someone I used to do high jump, and when the hurdler didn't show up for the school, my PE teacher was like, "Oh look, can you jump in and try this?" So I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a try." And so it ended up being quite good.
That's how it started.
So 15 years later, I suppose it's the competitive edge. It's competitive. You wanna get better. You wanna be better. You wanna win. And you know, as you start training twice a week with like local club level or amateur athletes, and you know, the more you see your progress, and the more you see, you know, that you're running faster, you can run further, and you know, the changes in performance, then you know, you start to give more time. And so I think I was training 5-6 days a week for many years, you know, going away like warm weather training. Yeah. And I say, I suppose you don't have to sacrifice your diet so much because you train so much.
Right.
It has boosted my metabolic rate, because I suppose it's only really, it might be when I turned 40, but it's only recently that my heart rate now through the night is over 45 beats a minute.
So how do you know? Are you still measuring your heartbeat?
No, I've got a smartwatch that measures the heart rate when I'm sleeping.
Wow.
So I'm actually, now I'm starting to train again. I'm going to see if I can get it back down to where it was.
Do you know, I would never, I mean, obviously you being an athlete, but I would never have thought to measure my heartbeat or heart rate, because that's quite important actually, to have an idea what your heartbeat or heart rate is, isn't it?
Yeah, and as a general rule, it'll be 220 minus your age for a maximum. That's a great tip. And so, you know, you can even exercise and aim for a certain target heart rate, so that, you know, you're not stressing yourself too much. So some of my clients, they've got cardiac issues, and so we make sure that we don't stress them too much. Some of my other clients have mental health problems, and so, you know, we work around, you know, when they're in the right place. But yeah, you can use your heart rate, target training zones, and yeah, man, as long as you slowly progress what you're doing, and you're listening to your body, then, you know, you can slowly take those incremental steps. But if you jump in at 70%, then you have a problem. The worst thing you can do is just to stop.
Sure. Because
if you just stop, then any strength that you have built, you're going to lose.
When you were at the peak of your athletic career, what was your feeling of competitive and discipline like?
Oh, you know, back then I was at training every day there was training. I was there.
Wow.
And you know, even outside of that, I would still be stretching, and you know, I think for a while that was everything.
And how long each day would you work out?
Oh my! So I would say if I got to the track, let's say you got to the track at 6 o'clock, you warm up. But I think, you know, you have a little chat with the athletes as everyone's warming up. Let's say the session started at 7
in the morning.
Let's say no, in the evening.
Oh, I was going to say, okay.
Yeah, in the evening. But I would say 6, 7, maybe 8, maybe 2 I'd say maybe about 2 hours. Sometimes it could be 3 hours, depending on the session. Sometimes it was a gym session and a track session, or a circuit and a track session. Yeah, man, they were great sessions. But like hard work, it brought out the almost the perfectionist in you. Not a perfectionist, but
that's what I wanted to ask you. Being an athlete and training so hard, it must switch the switch for that competitive edge and being a perfectionist, did it?
I think I am a bit of a perfectionist, but I'm not sure if that is solely due to athletics or if I was a bit of a perfectionist beforehand. Because, I think I'm a perfectionist, or I try to be a perfectionist in a lot of what I do.
Yes.
And so that might have driven me more in my athletics to perform better.
Sure.
But the discipline in getting there is still ingrained. So, the discipline of training every day, that's still there.
Good. And at these later years, how does it make you feel when you see your medals and past awards? How does it make you feel?
Do you know what, to be honest, I almost regret retiring cold turkey like I did.
Yes.
Because that was like my way of getting away. Like I had to, if I didn't just get away, I would have kept on trying to do it. So I had to break away cold turkey. And I kind of miss that a little bit. But I almost wish that athletics had been better funded, because then I would have felt like I would have been in a better position, having sacrificed so much of my time to do it.
Well, Mo, thank you so much for coming on the show today and being the expert on exercise and actually how to reduce stress. I will add your website links to the podcast bio for the audience to take a look.
It's the website is msfphysiotherapy.com.
And I'll say, guys, definitely reach out to Mo, especially during these times, and even if you've put on that COVID weight. So Mo, thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
Today.
You are listening to Think Tenacity Podcast. www.thinktenacity.com. Follow us on social media by searching Think Tenacity.